Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Dark Academia Queen. I know it's been a while since I've done an episode. I've been mainly focusing on my Down the Rabbit Hole podcast. But if you're new here, hit that like button, ring that bell for notifications. Please subscribe, help a girl out. But today we're going to be our last episode. We talked about the legends of vampires, and that kind of segmented into the New England vampire panic. So, without further ado, why don't I just jump in, shall I? Okay, so during the 1800s in Rhode Island, people believed that the TB was caused by the dead consuming their surviving family members. So there was only one way to deal with the sort of vampire activity. They would dig up the remains of the dead and burn the bodies. The most famous instance of this case would be that of Mercy Brown. So, when he hurts. But anyway, Mercy's whole family got TB, and it was assumed that she caused it to happen, so her grave was dug up. And according to only in my state, there was little signs of decomp in her body, and it appeared to be and have changed positions. So, there are some scientific explanations for these occurrences, and there is still a popular opinion that she was indeed a vampire. Now, her gravesite remains one of the spookiest places in Rhode Island. And the Mercy Brown vampire incident occurred in Rhode Island in 1892, and it was one of the best documented cases as the exhumation of a corpse in order to perform a ritual to banish the undead manifestation. This incident was part of a wider New England vampire panic. So, of course, we had the Salem witch trials. Now we had the vampire panic. Okay, but several cases of consumption occurred in the family of George and Mary Brown of Exeter, Rhode Island. So, friends and family believed that this was due to the influence of the undead. An attempt to be made to remediate, Mercy Brown would die at the age of 19 in 1892. So, a little bit about history, okay? About a little history on this. Well, in Exeter, Rhode Island, several members of George and Mary Brown suffered a sequence of TB infections and the final 2 decades of the 19th century, and this TB was called consumption at the time and was devastating and much feared disease. Now, the mom, Mary Eliza, was the first to die from this, followed in 1884 by the eldest daughter, Mary Olive. And according to a gravestone in 1991, daughter Mercy and son Edwin both contracted disease. Friends and neighbors of the family believed that one of the dead family members was a vampire, and um, although friends and neighbors, and although they did not know the name, they have caused Edwin's illness. So this was in accordance with the threads of contemporary folklore as well, which would link multiple deaths to families and to the undead activity. Consumption was poorly understood in the condition at the time of the subjects and superstition. Now, George Brown was persuaded to give permission to exhume several bodies from family members, villagers, and local doctors, and newspapers reporters would exhume the bodies on March 17, 1892. The bodies of Mary and Olive exhibited the expected level of a daughter, exhibited the expected level of decomp. So, there was one thought, um, not to be the cause. However, the course of the body of the daughter Mercy also did not exhibit almost no decomp, and still had her blood in her heart. This was taken as a sign that the young woman was dead in the agent of a young Edwin's condition. So, her lack of decomp was most likely due to her body being stored in freezer-like conditions in an above-ground crypt during the 2 months following following her death. Now, as superstition dictated, Mercy's heart and liver was burned, and ashes was mixed with water to create a tonic. It was given to the sick Edwin to drink in the efforts to resolve his illness, to resolve the undead. The young man would die 2 months later. What remained of Mercy's body in the cemetery of the Baptist Church in Exeter after being discremated. Now, in the end, her dad was one of the few members never to contract TB. Living until 1922, just long enough to see bacteriologist Albert Calmont and Camille Guerin discover the BCG vaccine and they're widely used to treat the cure of TB. But interesting. I know I've been talking about different topics and everything, but still, very interesting to talk about once you sit down and everything. But yeah, so I do have a lot more episodes lined up. We're going to be talking about the origins of witches and warlocks, the French Revolution, the story of Oliver Cromwell's head, the story of Mary King's closet. Come on now. Dark Academia. I love it. What can I say? I will see y'all next time. I am slowly getting ready for work, so I have to say goodbye.